Roger Fallabout, Director of Community Relations at a place just down the road from here, Peninsula Regional Medical Center, and I am pleased and honored to be back again as your Master of Ceremonies for this event. This is not only the 15th time that we are gathering to kick off the United Way campaign like this, we are also kicking off and celebrating the 75th year of our United Way. Pretty remarkable stuff. That's absolutely right. Our United Way was established here in Salisbury in 1944. So it got me thinking, what was going on in 1944? So I grabbed a couple of quick facts that I found interesting. I hope you will as well. The average cost of a new car in 1944, $1,220. A gallon of gas to operate that car, 21 cents. The average American worker earned 30 cents an hour and brought home an annual wage of $2,600 per year. Bread would cost you 9 cents a loaf, 62 cents for a gallon of milk, 3 pennies to send a letter via the U.S. mail in 1944. The St. Louis Cardinals were your World Series champions. They didn't have a Super Bowl in '44. It was still the championship of the National Football League. That was the Green Bay Packers. And taking home Lord Stanley's Cup in 1944, the Montreal Canadiens. So, much has changed over the last 75 years, but the one consistent here in our community has been our local United Way, changing lives and improving lives for 75 years. You'll hear more about our United Way, its history, and what it's done over the years in our community. But first, a couple of housekeeping items I need to take care of and get out of the way. Thank you to President White and Eli Modlin for welcoming us to this campus and having us here again today. We realize, and I hope you realize, it is a huge lift to pull this off in the middle of the day, in the middle of this campus, and in the middle of the first month of classes at Salisbury University. And we appreciate everything that the president has done and his staff to guarantee the success of this program. We are thrilled, Dr. White, to be in this room and in this building and on this campus. It is gorgeous, and we love sharing it with our community as well. We also appreciate everyone, and that's you in the audience. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Salisbury University. We also appreciate everyone in the audience, all of you being here to celebrate with us today, and hopefully those of you who came across on the shuttle had a little fun. Those of you who walked here, I hope you enjoyed a gorgeous fall day on the Eastern Shore by making your way to this building. We'll have the shuttles available for you, by the way, throughout the day if you need to leave, and also following our group photo at the end of our program. Thank you for your patience with the shuttle and the parking. This is all brand new to each and every one of us as well. It is, one other favor before I get into that too. Would you please, if you haven't done so already, silence your phones, but don't put them away because we'd love you to snap a few photos and get social with us today. You can use the hashtag UWLES75 or the hashtag LiveUnited in all caps. It is really great to see all of you here today. There are about 230 of you, in fact, in this room. Donors, volunteers, leaders, advocates, friends of our United Way coming together to help talk about and share United Way's impact. I'd like to take a moment to recognize some special guests who are in the audience, if I may. First, joining us from the United Way Worldwide is Chris Preston. Chris is the Vice President of Corporate Relations. Chris, will you please stand up? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. With Chris is also Brandon Stokes. Brandon is the Director of Global Strategic Partnerships for United Way Worldwide. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for being here and for always being available to us and our colleagues across the globe. We certainly appreciate that. We are also thankful to have a number of local and state representatives in the room with us today, too. In the interest of time and to make sure that I don't miss anyone, if you are an elected local or state official, will you please now stand to be recognized? Thank you very much for all you do, for all of us every day here on the Lower Shore, for sure. We also have some very special sponsors that we want to thank, too. Time and again, these companies have stood beside our United Way and our entire community, as a matter of fact, to help our neighbors and create opportunities for a better tomorrow. They truly embody what it means to live united on the Eastern Shore. We ask that representatives from these partners please stand when you're recognized, remain standing, and please hold your applause until we have everyone recognized. Our 75th anniversary sponsor, who themselves will be celebrating 100 years next year on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, is Purdue Farms at table number 4, right here in front of me. One of you get to stand up. There you go, Chris. Thank you. And thank you, Jim. That was the right choice. 75th campaign sponsor, Avery Hall Insurance, on table number 1 to my right. Hello, Mr. Hayes. Our Anchor Society sponsor is PNC Bank, located at table number 8, right here in the middle in the second row. And our Leadership Society sponsor, First Shore Federal, at table 5, which is to my far left. Thank you to all of you for your commitment to this special place that we call home. Additionally, I want to thank our media sponsors. We appreciate them and all the things that they do to share the great stories of what's happening here on the Eastern Shore each and every day. We also like to say thanks to our friends from PAC 14 who are here at the back of the room videotaping this kickoff celebration so we can show it on PAC 14. We truly appreciate everything that our media partners do for us at the United Way, the Lower Eastern Shore. Now, please join me in welcoming to this podium Dr. Charles White, who, as I mentioned earlier, is the president of Salisbury University. This is a guy who has really hit the ground running in his first year as Salisbury University's 9th president. Dr. White, it is, as I said, a great honor to be in this building and on your campus, and welcome to our event today.
Thank you, and welcome to Salisbury University. My name is Chuck White, and it is my absolute honor and pleasure to serve as the president of SU. We are delighted to host this event. I understand that this is the first time that we've been in this beautiful room for this event, and the first time it's been lunch instead of breakfast. So welcome, everybody. We're just delighted to be your hosts. I want to give a special shout out to Salisbury University's dining services for providing the lunch today. It's going to be fantastic. You haven't tasted it yet, but let's give them a hand. I need to take just a couple of minutes to brag about our Student United Way. Would the members of our Student United Way, SU Student United Way, just wave in place? Come on. I know you're out there. All right. Last year, the Student United Way, which is the very first one in the state of Maryland, accomplished quite a bit. They had over 70 club members, completed more than 50 volunteer and advocacy projects impacting the lives of 3,700 families. They recorded over 2,900 volunteer hours. They raised over $9,000 to support local community programs. The Halloween 5K event raised $5,000 just by itself. The Salisbury University Center for Student Involvement and Leadership recognized SU United Way as the outstanding student group and the outstanding community service program for our entire campus. Many thanks to Brielle McQuiston, Student United Way President, for her leadership, and to all of our Student United Way members for all you do in our local community. And now I would ask everyone to rise as the Salisbury University ROTC presents the colors. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's indeed a wonderful day to gather together on the first day of fall to kick off our United Way campaign. Selfishly, I would ask if you can remember my wife in prayer. She is 39 weeks pregnant and due any day. So we have a lot to be in prayer for, but will you join me in prayer? Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your provision. We thank you for the way in which community partners, volunteers, donors, and agencies can come together to strive to make our community better, to meet the needs of those who are in the most need, and to put money to its maximum use. Father, we pray that you would bless the United Way's campaign this season, that you would touch the hearts and minds of men, women, and young people all across our area who are going to have the capacity and the ability to contribute. Father, we pray that you would bless this food to our bodies, bless our fellowship around the table, the rest of this program, and help us all to realize where everything we have comes from. Help us to have grateful, thankful hearts as we turn to you for wisdom, guidance, and assurance. Watch over us, Father, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Dr. White. Thank you to the ROTC from Salisbury University and to Captain Trantham. Good luck, my friend, as some busy days are coming your way in the very near future for sure. As we head into the lunch service, which is coming up here in just a moment, please enjoy a fun United Way commercial which recently aired on Sirius XM, and we hope you like the nostalgic twist of this commercial too. It's going to be followed by some musical selections from the performers who were just here a couple of weeks ago at the National Folk Festival, along with 150,000 of your closest friends in the downtown plaza. It returns, that is, the National Folk Festival returns again in September of next year, and we hope you plan to help out through the Get Connected Volunteer Center, too. It takes about 1,000 volunteers to put the National Folk Festival on each and every year here in town. The United Way is honored to help them and to help you connect for this event and year-round with ways that you can volunteer in our community. I now have the honor of welcoming to the stage your United Way board chairperson. She's a friend of mine, a colleague at Peninsula Regional Medical Center, and from what I can see only has one fault, Captain Trantham, and that is she is a fan of that team down in Ohio. Go blue. Go blue. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Beth Reed.
Thank you, Roger. I will just start out by saying, go Buckeyes. He'll lose again this year. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the United Way Board of Directors. Your presence here today, whether this is your first time joining us or as a longtime community partner, it demonstrates the amazing passion for our community that we all share together. As we're going to hear throughout our program, our United Way is a local, community-driven organization. We would not be here today without the community members who stepped up in 1944 to make it happen, and that base of community involvement is stronger than ever today. Our board of 35 leaders, community leaders, represents all 4 lower shore counties, and they roll their sleeves up every day throughout the year to get things done. Would our current board members who are here today please stand? Please remain standing. I would also like to please ask any of our former board members that joined us today if they could please stand. Wow, that is an amazing, amazing representation of our community and the service that we all provide. So thank you all for your commitment to live united for our community. We also have an amazing staff of veteran and new team members, along with several office volunteers who do the heavy lifting and execute our mission daily. They're your go-to for everything campaign-related, campaign support, volunteering, any type of program management, collaborations, and special events. So if I could ask for all of our United Way staff and volunteers to please stand. Thank you so much for your passion and your great teamwork. So as you can see from this photo, taken last week at our team's kickoff, we share the Live United spirit. But what's truly amazing about our board, past and present, and the staff is how they also step up as donors. This group has already pledged over $89,000 just for this campaign year. That is $120 away from setting a new record, and we haven't even received all of the pledge forms in. So again, thank you again to this remarkable team for stepping up in so many ways. So if you can't already tell, we're really excited about our kickoff of our 75th year and our anniversary, and the 75 years of service that we have provided here on the shore. We have many great things in store, and I hope you'll join us throughout the year as we celebrate. But we are honored to have two special co-chairs for this 75th anniversary. We have Mr. Marty Neat of First Shore Federal, and we have Chris Perdue from Perdue Farms. Both of these leaders represent organizations who have an unwavering commitment to our community, but they're also stakeholders throughout their personal volunteerism and support of our numerous organizations, including our United Way. Marty and Chris, we are honored to have you lend your voice for our United Way and help us celebrate 75 years, so thank you. If you could all please join me in welcoming Marty onto stage. We're going to share a little history of the United Way and how our impact has grown over the years. Thank you and enjoy the program. It's all you.
Thanks, Beth, for that generous introduction. It's first, can you hear me back there? It's too bad there's some people that probably would like to trade places with you, but yeah. It's really a great honor to serve as co-chair of the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the United Way, and it's a particular pleasure to co-chair with Chris Perdue. He's an example of why many of us who have been around a while are so confident that the community's best days lie ahead. You might say that we have a millennial and a perennial as the co-chairs. This is a big day for our United Way, 75 years of community service. I hope that you've had the chance to visit the exhibit that highlights those years. It's just outside as you enter this room. A United Way team led by Claire Otterbein took a deep dive into our history and found many cool moments to highlight. It's a portable exhibit, and it speaks to our community's history as well. So please look at it throughout the year. If you'd like to share it at one of your own organization's events, please contact Claire. And I hope that you'll join me in thanking Claire and the volunteers who spent countless hours helping to bring this history back to life. Our community is blessed with many giving souls, people who make our lives better, and we're privileged to be surrounded by them today. Look around you, you'll see those people. And when you looked in the mirror this morning, you saw one too. It's said that the moral test of a community is how it treats those of its members who are the least able to protect themselves. Those in the dawn of life, the youth. Those in the dusk of life, the aged and infirm. Those in the shadows of life, the ill, the handicapped, the poor. We celebrate today our United Way, a magnificent organization which serves all of these neighbors and fellow citizens, and through which all who support it have made a very real impact on our community. We'll hear today about some of that impact on our youth, whether through education and reading literacy, scouting, or just being a mentor. Your United Way invested nearly $400,000 in 14 programs impacting more than 6,400 local children last year. Through the poor and financially challenged, your United Way invested nearly $500,000 in 24 programs of financial stability, serving more than 50,000 people last year. Through those that are physically challenged, your United Way invested more than $630,000 in 36 health programs, including health literacy and addiction awareness, impacting more than 57,000 people last year. You'll hear more about some of those programs today, but you see directly or indirectly their impact every day and in many parts of our community. This United Way has been serving those citizens and meeting those needs for 75 years. For that, you can take great pride. I'm confident that those that founded the United Way in 1944 would be both impressed and proud of its progress over the years. Among those founders were George Chandler, the first chairman, Fred Atkins, Mrs. Alice Bolden, Ernest Wheatley, Ralph Delaney, Mr. Avery W. Hall. I might add that both Mr. Chandler and Mr. Atkins were founders of First Shore Federal. So like many of you, their good work did extend beyond the United Way. And you'll hear more about Avery Hall and his successors later today. They've upheld his legacy in a very impressive way. This organization was initially the community chest of Wicomico County. It focused on both meeting community needs and supporting war efforts in the local community. The first campaign goal was $50,000, which, as you heard earlier from some of the numbers that Roger was citing, $50,000 was a real big lift in those days. There were 7 partners that received funding that first year: the National War Fund, the Wicomico Children's Home, the Cancer Control Board, the Wicomico County Library, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and the Salvation Army. The last 3 of those, of course, the Scouts and the Salvation Army, are still members. Serving youth, stabilizing families, and supporting health needs was a focus then, and it remains a key purpose today. Over the years, the organization had several name changes and expanded to include Worcester, Somerset, and Dorchester counties. It was led by volunteers until 1980, when the first executive director was hired. And the United Way has grown. There are now 40 partners supporting 80 director-funded programs impacting 1 in 3 of your neighbors each year, with a fundraising goal of more than $2 million. As that goal has increased, so has the strategy to reach those goals. There's still the critically important workplace campaigns and payroll deduction, but also fundraisers, grants, bequests, foundation gifts, special events, and online giving. And it's not just fundraising, but also a number of direct services, such as the Imagination Library, which has provided more than 189,000 books. Yes, 189,000 books to local youth. The Read to Succeed program. The Volunteers Center, which, as Roger mentioned earlier, was instrumental in providing almost 1,000 volunteers for the National Folk Festival and the success of that. And of course, your community initiatives such as health literacy and addiction awareness. Once again, there are some impressive examples of this growth in the history exhibit. It is said that one person working hard can make a difference. Many people working together can bring about change. So it's particularly appropriate that the United Way has formed so many partnerships, including working with other organizations such as the Community Foundation, other United Ways, numerous community groups, and community leaders to address these problems. I personally first became involved in the United Way in the same way that many of you did. I was on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters in 1982. The United Way campaign chair, Margaret Yao, came to our meeting and told us how pleased she was that the United Way would provide support for our agency. And she gently reminded us that, quote, "to whom much is given, much is expected." And just like that, we became volunteers for the campaign. Incidentally, the director of that first Big Brothers Big Sisters in those days was a young lady by the name of Kathleen Williams, who many of you know as Kathleen Momay. I served through the United Way organization as division chair, county chair, campaign chairman in 1989, and the United Way board chair along the way. It was one of the great experiences of my life. Along the way, I developed what have been lifelong friendships with some of the folks that I volunteered with. In fact, 4 of us, including the United Way executive director of that time, Jim Wojcik, later embarked on a quest where we visited every Major League Baseball stadium. Those friendships are just another benefit of doing something good. And oh, by the way, that United Way activity also had more than a little bit of a role in my selection to become CEO at First Shore Federal. But as my wife, Marilyn, often reminds me, this isn't about me. This is about us, all of us. Involvement in a noble cause such as the United Way is simply one of the best leadership training opportunities that any of us will ever have. Many of you already know that, or you wouldn't be here today. I'm reminded of a story about John Wooden, coach of the UCLA basketball Bruins, who were a perennial national champion. Coach Wooden would start his fall practices by telling his players, whenever you score a basket, acknowledge the teammate who made that possible, whether by a pass, whether by a rebound, or setting a pick. Point at him and tell him thanks. One of Coach Wooden's best players, the All-American Bill Walton, was also a bit of a wiseacre. He asked Coach Wooden, well, what if he isn't looking at me? Coach Wooden said, don't worry, Bill, he'll be looking. Our community is looking today, and the thousands of your fellow citizens who benefit from the services provided by the agencies of the United Way are looking every day. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. This United Way has been there with that support for 75 years. It has made us a more caring, compassionate, and just community, and its best days lie ahead. Let me now introduce the leader of the United Way, of your United Way, the person who heads this great organization, our president and CEO, Pam Gregory.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone is enjoying your lunch. Please continue to enjoy that. And thank you, Marty, for your inspiring words and for the many ways that you help our United Way and the community at large. You and Marilyn are truly an inspiration. And I want to thank also Salisbury University again and our friends here and our amazing MC extraordinaire, Mr. Roger Fullabout, for again lending his awesome voice to us. So the next portion of our program is going to be a little different format from what we've done before. As you've heard, our United Way is here today because of this vision several community leaders had 75 years ago to create an organization focused on meeting local needs using local people and resources. So that is how we still come together to live united every day. So it's important to us that you hear from those partners, volunteers, and neighbors who have been impacted through United Way's work, and today the floor will be theirs. We have a number of attendees with us who will share for a few moments, and I hope you enjoy the different perspectives that they will represent. But in addition to those speaking, we have many of our partners here with us today as well. I'd like to ask representatives from our United Way partners to please stand and be recognized for the incredible work they do every day for our neighbors. Don't be shy. Thank you all. Thank you again. It's a privilege to work with you all. All right, so to start us off, we're going to have a special guest from United Way Worldwide share. And yes, I know, we've been iterating how local everything is focused. And as an independent nonprofit, I'll remind you, we are governed by a local board, we have local staff, and we invest all our local donors' dollars right here. But we also have the benefit of doing this as a member of the United Way network. So over 1,400 United Ways are active in the United States, with hundreds more worldwide, and we all share the same commitment to meeting health, education, and financial stability needs in our own communities, which makes United Way a global movement with local impact. United Way Worldwide provides us the tools, resources, development, and advocacy for all of its members, and we certainly have been a benefactor here of that reach. For instance, when Hurricane Sandy leashed its destruction on Somerset County, it was funding through the United Way Worldwide Network, which provided us the opportunity to help our neighbors get back on their feet and rebuild. So please help me welcome Chris Preston, Vice President of Corporate Relations. He's going to stand right here at the table, who worked with local United Ways before joining United Way Worldwide in 2016. I'm thrilled to have him share with us about the special partnership local United Ways have with our worldwide colleagues. Chris?
Excellent. Thank you, Pam. Can everyone hear me? Excellent. Well, to Pam, Stacy, Beth, Marty, Chris, Roger, just thank you for the invite to be here. Brandon and I drove out yesterday, beautiful drive. I tell you, it was amazing because we were driving over the bridge coming eastbound, and we saw the 7-8 mile backup, people going westbound. So normally I'm on that side, so happy to be here, but Marty, I'll point to the passer. Thank you for all you do for us. So I was a basketball player growing up, so we always did that. Coach Wooden taught a lot of coaches to do that. So as Pam mentioned, you all are part of a member of well over 1,000 United Ways in the United States alone. So on behalf of United Way Worldwide's Board of Trustees, our senior leadership team there, just thank you for the invite again, and happy to be here. The one thing I will say is that we see United Ways of all shapes and sizes, and this is truly a best practice United Way. So some of the statistics that blew my mind is that this United Way impacts over 121,000 people here in this 4-county community. So it's through the opioid awareness, the addiction awareness work that you all do, the work for ALICE. For those of you who are not aware, that's not a person. That's actually an acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained and Employed. So the great work there, the Imagination Library work that Marty had brought up earlier. So again, just a great practice around the impact that's done here in this 4-county community. And that happens across our network as well. So as Pam mentioned, I had the opportunity to work for 2 local United Ways in this great region. Here I work for United Way Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, and there it was all about pre-K education. So how do we get kids the advantage to enter first grade, enter kindergarten, ready to learn? So we work with other organizations to create that impact there. And in the United Way National Capital area, in the D.C. area, we actually work with 8th grade students in Title I middle schools. So for those of you not aware of Title I, that's a school that has the propensity for free or reduced lunch students. So we work there. So as you can see, when you think about United Way, Pam, to your point, it is all about the local relevance and the impact. However, you all are also part of a global network and multi-billion-dollar brand. So we are here to partner, support, and help amplify. A relevant example will be our relationship with Purdue Farms. So over the past 18 months, Brandon and our team have been having conversations with Bill Bryan and others with Purdue Farms just in terms of how can we support Stacy, Pam, and the team here to really provide a consistent experience for Purdue Farms employees in other locations. So how can we allow the great team here to really focus on this 4-county community, but then provide the same experience for others in other communities? So Brandon, thank you for the great work that you're doing there, and we'll continue to amplify that work. And part of that work is we have invited, and Purdue Farms has accepted, to be part of our global corporate leadership program. So we can give them a quick round of applause for that great work. So this is exciting because it's Purdue Farms is part of a 95 company program that raises approximately $1 billion, that is with a B, $1 billion US around the globe each year, and their employees volunteer north of 22 million hours of time. So to say it's a big deal, that would be just a vast understatement. So Bill and team, thank you again for accepting that membership, and we'll look to grow. And so as I close here, the one thing I will say as we look to the next 75 years of this great organization, one, it's not just about existence, but it's about relevance. And the statistic I always use in terms of United Way remaining relevant is around us being a community organization. So the statistics I'll use is here. So we have 9,200 approximately staffers of our United Ways in the United States. We have approximately 2.6 million volunteers. So that's a 275 approximately to 1 ratio. We also have 50,000 board and committee members, so that's close to 6 to 1. So again, we are the communities organization. You all are United Way. So Brandon, myself, Pam, Stacy, and others, we just want to be good stewards of what you all are looking to accomplish as the community. So again, thank you for the invitation, and here's to 75 more years of impact and relevance.
Chris, thank you very much. We absolutely, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, we absolutely appreciate the leverage and the voice that United Way Worldwide provides to us to do what we can do within our community. So great to have you here. Thanks very much. We value those local partnerships, as everyone has said already today. So what are our local partners doing? Here's an opportunity to hear more. Please direct your attention to Denise Eberspeaker, who's the Chief Regional Officer for Girl Scouts of the Chesapeake Bay. Hi, Denise. She's going to let us know about her organization and what they're doing. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Girl Scouts of the Chesapeake Bay's girls, adult volunteers, our board of directors, and all of our staff, we really want to thank the United Way for our 75-year partnership. Very proud to be one of the original partners with United Way. Today, more than 50 million women enjoyed Girl Scouts during their childhood, and that number continues to grow. We have continued to stick to our mission of serving girls with the best leadership development program available to girls, designed specifically for girls, and we do that in the all-girl environment. Girl Scouts continues to inspire, challenge, and empower girls. But we can't do that work without funders, such as United Way. Currently, the United Way funds our outreach programs, which serve girls who face daily challenges. They may not have the economical means or transportation or parental guidance to join a traditional Girl Scout troop. So we serve those girls through outreach programs. We go into the schools where they are. We go into their communities. We partner with a lot of community groups in this room. We thank you for those partnerships. The girls have been identified as needing Girl Scouts to improve their self-esteem and build their leadership. And because of United Way, we are able to do that on a daily basis here in this community. And how can you put a dollar value on that, on building girls' leadership? You can't. Also, our current focuses that we work on with the girls are STEM, because we know that girls lag behind in STEM careers to men, and so that's something we want to give them the skills so that they consider STEM fields. Financial literacy, so they can handle their own finances. We also do anti-bullying programs, especially with our middle school girls. We know that it's such an important time for the girls, and anti-bullying, bullying is just such a big problem with kids now. So we have a program designed specifically for the girls to deal with that. And we also want the girls to enjoy the outdoors. So we have camps, we have zip lines and rock climbing walls and canoes and kayaks, so the girls can just get outside, disconnect, and have fun building their teamwork. So it's very difficult to put a value on what the United Way has done for Girl Scouts. And we just want to thank everyone in this room who has contributed to the United Way, all the community partners, and we just value this so much. And thank you for the 75 years.
Thank you, Denise. Appreciate that. Heather Mailer is up next, and Heather's going to share with us her experiences of being a mentor with big brothers and big sisters of the Lower Shore. Then I have the great pleasure following that to read to you a statement from her little sister, who was going to be here today, but has classes at Warwick and is attending class there today. So we'll take care of that after we hear from Heather.
Well, thank you for having me. Everyone that knows me knows that I love to talk about mentoring, so I'll try not to be here all morning. I had actually participated in international pen pal mentoring with a child in the Dominican Republic for a few years, and some of you might be familiar with that experience. You write a letter, it's translated to another language, they write you a letter back, and you sort of get connected to that child. But they're in another country, and you don't get to see them or do things with them. I decided after my child aged out of that program that I wanted to see what the options were here locally. So I made a call to several agencies that offer mentoring. Big Brothers Big Sisters was the model that compelled me the most. I really liked the amount of time commitment that they were asking. There was a little bit more depth to the relationship that could be developed through mentoring activities and match support, which Big Brothers Big Sisters is really good at. If you haven't mentored before, once you get matched with a kid, and if you don't raise children yourself, suddenly you're like, oh, what are the activities that I do with this child? What are the things that, are age appropriate that we should be doing together? And they provided me all of that. For nearly a decade, we had support through Big Brothers Big Sisters. Elijah is now, as Roger mentioned, in college herself. She's an independent young woman, which astounds me. She was 9 when we met, so you can see her up there. We had a lot of pizza visits over the year, a lot of movies watched, a lot of shopping, but more importantly, children like Nalaja need someone in their life to help them through really difficult times. Sometimes they're working on things in school, dealing with relationships in their friends' circles or in their home life, that they just need someone that's willing to invest and take that time. So I was happy to be able to do that, and I'm really proud of her. Right now, I would encourage anyone to check out mentoring programs here locally. I'm super proud of Big Brothers Big Sisters myself, but there are a lot of other ones, and United Way has supported lots of mentoring programs over the years, and I want to thank them for that also.
Thank you, Heather. As we mentioned, we have Nalaja's statement. She asked us to please read it for her. It's short, but it's really sweet. And Heather, you should really be happy to hear this. This is from Nalaja. God gives us blessings, and Heather is my blessing. Without Heather, I would have been lost, and I wouldn't be the woman I am today. Pretty remarkable stuff. Thanks, Heather, and please share our thanks with Nalaja as well. We appreciate that. We'll now hear from Mary Handley, who is with Delmarva Community Services, about one of several programs that United Way supports and provides transitional housing and support for gentlemen in the Cambridge area. Hey, Mary.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Delmarva Community Services and all the people that we serve, we want to thank you so much as members of the United Way in whatever capacity for all that you do, because it comes back and it helps so many people in Dorchester County. The Delmarva Community Services was founded 45 years ago, and my director is next to me, Dr. Santo Grande, who started 45 years ago. Along the way, we try to provide the supports that a person needs to thrive in their community. Sometimes it's just one thing, but everything is such a large impact. And I'm so impressed with Mr. Marty's speech a minute ago, because what I'm going to do is read a letter from one of the residents in our transitional home for men. This is not a shelter. It is a transitional home where people without an address become residents and are case managed for up to 2 years and afterward, and find independence and find a life. This gentleman named Chris is one of those people who just made the basket, and he's turned and he's pointing at you to say thank you. So please, I'm so happy to read this letter on behalf of Chris, a resident at 709 Church Street. 709 Church Street saved my life. I know I'm being a little overdramatic, huh? Well, if you knew my history, my track record, my amazing ability to always turn speed bumps in my life into pitfalls with such ease. Addiction, criminal behavior, mental health have all played a huge part in my unstable up and down life. But self-sabotage is what I usually do at the first sign of bad luck, misfortune, AKA not getting my way. These conditions and or behaviors are the primary reasons, the excuses for my unstable, unhealthy lifestyle. Poor excuses, I admit, but that's what I usually do. Take one or more of these problems and compound by having a pity party for Chris. Got to turn the page. And thus begin to make bad impulse decisions one after the other until ... until incarceration, rehab, homelessness, drug use, arrests, etc. I guess, to be honest, I'm grateful that death hasn't made its list yet in 2019. A lot of my friends, peers, etc., have had their stories end that way. Rest in peace. Perhaps you can start to see how I could say this house, these people, a second chance at 709 Church Street could very well saved my life. Literally, probably did. Either way, it has given me the time, the space, the opportunity to find myself and my place in this world. I'm sorry, did you catch that? Second time here? Yup. 10 years ago, I was a resident here. Crazy, right? Same big house, same great people. Opened the door then. You're just dying to know what's going to happen next, right? And again, this time. To tell you the truth, I was pretty much the same person 10 years ago. 2 months, that's how long I lasted 10 years ago when I was asked to leave. Broke, active use, jail, that's what happened. Just one more bridge I've burned out of thousands in my life that I can't cross again. Anyway, it hit me, one of those speed bumps in this life, like I always do. Sorry. And about 1.5 years ago, and Chris did what Chris always does. Yep, all of that. Read beginning of the letter, LOL. For 6 days, I never give up, never have, never will. And that 6th day and years of letting myself down, I think I had given up. I didn't know where I was, where to go. I was lost. Then I seen a sign that saved my life and gave me another chance at life. I could barely read it. It said, "Bridge open." Can't be. The same damn bridge. No, I burned really good 10 years ago. That bridge was open to me again, and people that need a little help, a little direction. I'm not sure how long that bridge has been there, but I've crossed it twice in my life and probably won't need to cross it again. I'm going to ride off into the sunset and enjoy life. This house, this bridge, I hope is always here, always open for the next man. For the next man, that was a hit, that was a speed bump. I truly have no idea what, where, why, who I would have done without this opportunity. I won't take it for granted. Thank you to everybody who has a part in making this place available to me and others before me, and most important, for that next man. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, all of you.
Thank you, Mary, and thanks for sharing Chris's story. Wonderful, absolutely remarkable. We will turn our attention now to two of our original partners from 1944. The United Way has partnered with this agency many times, with this organization many times, and continues to do so even today. First, we'll hear from Wynette Curtis, the Project READ Program Manager for Wicomico County Libraries, followed by Project READ participant Bobby Jo Peck. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon, everyone. Project READ, the Project READ family is extremely grateful for the United Way for providing us with funding to provide one-on-one tutoring for adults that have literacy challenges. Project READ not only provides the basic foundation skills, but also comprehension, retention, fluency. We also do writing, math, basic computer skills, financial literacy, and we have partnered with them and Beacon to do health literacy, which we started last year. In our community, there are a lot of adults that have reading challenges, and sometimes they're your neighbors, sometimes they're your friends, sometimes they're family members. A lot of times you don't know it because they've learned how to cope and how to hide it, because there still is a stigma. When you say that there's a child that needs help reading, everyone's like, oh yeah, we can understand that. But when there's an adult that's 40, 50, 60 years old, our oldest learner has been 80, and you think of that person and the challenges they've faced. Sometimes, we use labels for people like deadbeat dads or lazy, they just don't want to work, they want to leech off the system. Sometimes if you look further, it might be that their reading issues have prevented them from doing things like filling out a job application, writing a letter to their teacher, their child's teacher, even reading and filling out a permission slip for the child to even go on a field trip, understanding their paycheck, understanding that when they get that paycheck, that you can't spend it all on a pair of sneakers, that you have to pay those bills. So along with the literacy skills, the levels of literacy that we give them, we also give them critical thinking skills, And we try to provide them with employment readiness skills that help them go out. Project Read, when it started 3 years ago, we were just looking at basically reading and writing and that sort of thing. But as anything, things morph and they grow. And for sustainability, we also offer assessments that are outside the norm. We offer tutoring in that. We've tutored a couple of people in the ASVAB, the military entrance exam. This summer, we tutored a teacher with the Praxis and everything that we can to help people in any of their literacy challenges, Microsoft Office, anything. So again, we're very grateful for the United Way and other funders like them that have seen that there is a need that adults in our community need to learn how to read and write because employers need literate adults that won't cost them money for making mistakes and, putting together products wrong or anything. So we're very proud of our family. In addition to the one-on-one tutoring, we also have monthly literacy events. We call them adult story times, but everyone loves to come, and it builds self-esteem and that socialization skills also that they need to get out in the community. And one of our learners that's here today, Bobby Jo Peck, I'm going to turn it over to her.
Thank you. My name is Bobby Jo Peck. I've been in Project Read for almost, I think, 2 years now. And I briefly went to be in Project Read to learn my English better and to prepare to take the entrance exam for Warwick. I start taking courses in Warwick for computers or maybe journaling. But I have not done that since I started Project Read. And I just encourage anybody to go to Annette or anybody at the library and ask for information. They're very helpful. I go on Tuesdays and Thursdays nights from 4 to 5:15. My tutor is really lovely, very confident, and really helps me all along the way. And I wrote a book, and it's about vacation, and they helped me out to be better organizing at it and getting it ready for publication for the next book. And I thank Project Read and Ms. Wynette for letting me helping me learn and further my skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Jo, and thank you, Wynette. Absolutely incredible work and impact, right, in our community and for our community by these organizations and many others who partner with our United Way. My pleasure to bring Pam back up now, who will share our next series of stories with you.
And I hope that you caught what Bobby Jo said about the book. The photo of her with the book is the book that she wrote and published. Thank you, Bobby Jo. So those are some really great examples of how our focus in health, education, and financial stability are actually all interconnected. Because when we are healthy, we can perform better in school, we miss less work, and we take care of our loved ones. And when we have the education and support we need, we can learn new skills, achieve our goals, and be productive members of society. And then when we're financially stable, we improve the economic security of our entire community. So this is why we see those pillars so importantly as the three bases for our work. And that's why it also takes all of us to ensure that we have the resources to provide these important programs, and why it's important for all of us to give, advocate, and volunteer. These are critical support pieces to ensure that this work happens. So next we're going to hear briefly from some friends who will share how these supports matter. I'm pleased to introduce first one of our volunteers and a longtime donor, Ms. Linda Hutchinson, who will share why she lives united. Linda, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I was fortunate to be born in Salisbury and to be raised in a family that believed in giving back to the community. I can remember as a little girl, my grandmother sold pecans for the American University women, can't remember the name. She collected toys at Christmas and was Mrs. Santa Claus for an organization that none of us in the family can remember the name of it, but we remember the piles of toys in her back bedroom. And who collected money for the United Fund, as the United Way was called at that time. My parents were the same. My dad was a JC. He was on Greater Salisbury. He was a member of the county commission, which is what the county council used to be called, and on the board and involved in lots of other organizations. And my mom was a Cub Scout den mother. She worked at the hospital in the junior board shop. I mean, I grew up with all of this, my brother and I, and of course we were taken along. We probably thought we were dragged along a lot of the time. But we learned from them that giving is important. And so in my adult life, I have tried to continue that. I have been a donor and a volunteer with many of the organizations that are supported by the United Way. So I have seen firsthand the work that is done by the United Way and the importance of it. I've also helped fill out one of those applications to get funding, and they're tough. And there's a good reason they're tough, because we as a community need to know that the funds we contribute are being spent responsibly. The most fun thing I've done lately, though, is to be part of Project Read to Succeed. And we're going into the third year. For those of you who are not familiar with it, we go into the schools and we read with second and third graders who are struggling with their reading or comprehension. I have had the pleasure of working with two darling little boys. It has been wonderful. They have been a challenge. They were totally different. Obviously, reading is not their thing, or they wouldn't be in the program, so I've struggled to keep them focused. But the best part has been the relationship. I have just loved those two little boys. I don't know who I'll get this year, but I'm sure he or she will be equally wonderful. We read once a week. The child reads to me, and then I kind of help in whatever way I need to. And it has been very rewarding. I hope I've been a help to them. I can tell you that they have given back to me much more than I've given to them, I'm sure. So I am just grateful to be part of this community and to be part of this United Way and to have the opportunity to live united in that way. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. We appreciate it. And I might, sorry, not sorry about that whole hard application. All right, next we're going to hear from one of our dear friends and a past board member, Mr. Kevin Hayes with Avery Hall. He's going to share about his experience and why community engagement is good business.
Thank you all very much. It's a privilege to know that our founding father of our agency, Mr. Avery Hall, was also a founding father of United Way 75 years ago. So we've continued that tradition throughout our history. It's passed down to our employees. And when I first joined the agency back in the 80s, one of the first things the president at that time, Mr. Gordon Gladden, told me that Mr. Avery Hall had passed down to him was, you can't be part of the community if you're not giving back to the community. And so what Mr. Hall started has continued on and will continue on at Avery Hall. Very proud of our employees giving back their time. They're currently serving on the United Way part, the Read to Succeed, the Holiday Ball, and the Cornhole Tournament. I had the privilege of, when I was on the board, to go vet some of these agencies, visit. As Linda had indicated before, the process of filling out the application is probably worse than anything that Marty makes you go through for a mortgage, okay? So that being said, know that the committees sit for 2 days, and at the end of that, 20-some people, every dollar has been vetted from the 30-some plus agencies and distributed accordingly. So it's not just that you ask for money, it has been vetted many, many times over. It's been a privilege for that to be a part of that. I'm proud of our agency giving back to our community. I'm proud that we're part of the community. I'm proud that we're part of being a partner with United Way for 75 years, and we look for many, many more years and continued success. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. You guys are really awesome, and not only for our United Way, but the community at large. Thank you very much. So last but certainly not least, we have Ashley Clevenger with Bank of Delmarva, who is one of our campaign coordinator, rock stars, who's going to share a little bit about their formula for success and how empowering your employees reaps great benefits.
Hi, thank you. So I am the campaign coordinator for the Bank of Delmarva and have been for the last 4 years alongside John Awkward here, and we have been very, very successful. I think it's a combination of having the support of our board of directors, having our senior managers involved, and then just having the majority of our employees being dedicated to wanting to be a part of something bigger. The bank prides itself on being involved in the community. We want to be a part of giving back. You know, we live here, we're from here, we want to support everybody that we can. We know it's important to give to charity, and what we give in, we know we'll get back tenfold. So, you know, our employees, you know, some of them only give dollars, but we know that it all adds up and it all makes a difference. So I think our success is a combination of things. It's having dedicated employees that want to be a part and knowing they're making a difference, having our board of directors support us, and senior managers, and just employees that want to make a difference. So we set our goal in 2015 at $10,000, and we beat it. And in 2019, our goal was $20,000, and I'm proud to say that our employees pledged over $25,000. So proud to be a part of United Way, and thank you very much.
Ashley, thank you. And thanks to our friends at the Bank of Delmarva. Wow, what an amazing community we live in, which we all know already, right? But as you've heard, when we live united and we work together, there is no limit to what we can achieve as a team. And there are so many ways to engage people around you and with you to live united too. Check this out. We have a fun video clip that we're going to show you from a recent Today Show segment where something as simple as soda or water can make a big impact thanks to Pepsi. We're sharing this from a Facebook post, so the video quality is not great, but you'll get the idea. Let's roll it.
The 100th NFL season, Pepsi launching Pepsi Cause for Celebration. For every touchdown celebration from tonight's kickoff to Thanksgiving, Pepsi will donate 100 meals to that team's local United Way chapter. Doing good, doing well on Sunday night, football night in America!
Thank you, Mr. Roker. A little over the top, but you get the point. And that's pretty awesome, right? I mean, a great example of how local communities can benefit from the United Way's network outreach. And Pepsi's commitment to the communities they serve doesn't stop there, not at all. Hopefully you saw, or many of you have businesses that already have, and you can see one here in the front of the room, our United Way themed Pepsi vending machines. These special machines provide a portion of the sales generated back to our local United Way. And since 2014, those machines have resulted in $107,000 to support local programs. That's remarkable. Just another great example of how doing a little bit can go a long way, and thanks Pepsi for thinking outside of the vending box for our communities. You know, at Peninsula Regional Medical Center where I work, we have some unique and creative ways to get people engaged in our United Way campaign as well, to create awareness. One of the most important things that we raffle off to anyone who's involved in our United Way campaign is a parking spot for a year at the medical center. And if any of you have ever tried to find a parking spot with all the growth that's going on at PRMC, you know how coveted that spot can be. Very, very popular. And it's just a little thing that we do, but our team loves it there at the hospital. But there are others who really go all out, like Piedmont Airlines. Piedmont has an annual jet pull. Yes, that's right. You heard me right. It's a challenge to see how quickly teams can pull a jet. And it's not happening just here at Salisbury. Piedmont extends that across the nation for an internal challenge across all of their nationwide locations. So whether you're PRMC raffling off a parking spot, whether you're Piedmont pulling a jet airline, or you are like our friends at Dove Point with a chicken and dumpling sale, you can achieve great things when you put the fun back in fundraising. And don't also forget, and I can't stress this enough, please don't also forget the importance of volunteering. Get your teams involved in hands-on community work. Whether you offer flexibility for employees to be mentors, like our friends at the City of Salisbury do, or you engage with special events like Gallagher and RPS, you have team-building opportunities, you roll up your sleeves and you get things done. Volunteer projects like building a ramp, a wheelchair ramp for people who desperately need them, are one of the most fulfilling and wonderful things that you can ever do as a volunteer project. This helps to show your team how they create change for tomorrow, aside with the change and the dollars that they donate to our United Way. All right, I want to turn it back over to Pam now and our co-chairs for a few final remarks.
Thank you, Roger. I just would like to thank again everyone from our partner agencies and community members and friends who have shared today. I really very much appreciate it. Thank you for the work you do in the community and for sharing that with us today. So you each received a folder, and yes, we may possibly have been going for a world record on how much we can actually fit in there for you. But I do want to encourage you to take a few moments and take a look at that when you have some time. There's a lot of information in there. From our impact report, which has a refreshed look this year, to information about, some of the fun things you've heard about today. And there's also information on our newly renamed 1944 Legacy Circle. So that includes some planned giving options for anyone from millennials to what Marty here calls a perennial, and easy ways to continue your gift for years to come. So there's also some special save the dates in there. I hope you'll check out. One we're super excited about is at the end of our 75th anniversary next summer, thanks to our friends over at the Delmarva Shorebirds, we're going to have a community celebration. This again, as you've heard today, this organization is here because of the community, to serve the community, and we're going to do that for 75 more years. And we're going to make sure that we bring the community out to a really fun outreach event next summer. So, Chris, thank you for your help with that. And one more thank you to our friends over here at Salisbury University, Dr. White, Eli. We really appreciate your generosity today and sharing your beautiful space and your talented staff with us today. And finally, I need to also say one final thank you before I bring Chris up to our board and our staff. You saw the amazing representation we had of our current and past board members. I cannot stress enough how much these folks give to our community behind the scenes. And our staff is truly incredible. I am very, very blessed indeed to help lead this team. So to close us out, I'd like to welcome our co-chair, Mr. Chris Perdue.
Pam told me Marty was going to be up here with me so that, while the millennial talks, the perennial can make sure nothing gets derailed and we stay on track and end on time, but I got it, don't worry. But good afternoon, and thank you all for being here to help us kick off the 15th year of this campaign and the 75th year anniversary of our United Way here on the Lower Eastern Shore. I'm so honored to be co-chair of this very special 75th anniversary year for such an essential organization to our local community. And I'm also honored to be joined by my co-chair here, Marty Neat, who's a true figure in our community here, and I'm proud to just serve with him. I'm going to take a couple minutes just to spend some time talking about legacy and generations, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how everyone can get involved with the United Way, especially during this next 75th anniversary year. So my grandfather and great-grandfather began a long-standing relationship and commitment when Purdue first partnered with United Way back in 1964. And now, over 50 years later, and as Purdue closes on our 100th year anniversary next year, we're still a committed partner of the United Way. Purdue's decades-long partnership with United Way provides a platform for our associates to engage in communities where they live and work. And our associates are really part of our family. Our company's nothing without our associates, and every one of them is also a husband or a wife, or has a home here, raises a family here, has kids that they're supporting, and they have others who depend on them as well, like small businesses, local seed salesmen, truck and tractor dealers, and others who benefit from the services of our local nonprofits. Our farmers and associates depend on strong communities to be able to make it all work. We're all connected, supporting one another, leaning on one another, and helping each other thrive as a family. At least I think that's our definition of community. And it's important to Purdue to create a work environment where employees can support their coworkers and the local needs that they're passionate about. And the United Way allows us to also do just that. It enables us to create a culture of compassion and a culture of giving. So we're so fortunate that we have our local United Way right here to bring positive impacts to our local community. And Purdue is completely and wholly committed to our United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore. We have been for over 50 years, and we'll be here for at least that many more. When I started my personal philanthropic journey not too long ago, because I'm a millennial, remember, we're still learning how all this stuff works, I found it difficult to know which organizations were in the greatest need in our local communities, which ones would responsibly use the funds they were given, and which ones I could trust. More importantly, I was unsure about the most urgent needs in our community and which organizations were best equipped to address those needs. I quickly learned it's not too hard to find organizations that will take your money, but they're all really quite good at that. But it's surprisingly difficult to identify organizations that will really work hard for you, will put funds to use with great effect in ways which our community needs, in which ways our community needs are best addressed, and will follow up on how those funds are used responsibly and with results. One of the primary reasons I have faith in my personal ability to make a lasting impact is because our United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore does that due diligence for me to ensure funds are used responsibly and reported back on to make sure that they're used to great effect. So it's important to have confidence and trust in the organizations we work with, and the United Way ranks at the top of that list for me. So a little bit on how to give back. 75 years of our United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore, it's really amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the next 75 years and how we can get involved, because together we will continue to live united. So some of the ways in which you can get involved, there's a lot. Pam gave me a lot of great notes here of all the different ways. We're going to cover all of them, don't worry. But one of them is supporting workplace campaigns. The number one reason why people don't support an individual organization or campaign is because they weren't asked. No one should ever be pressured to participate, and you can see that in United Way's policies, and I think that's in the materials in your folder. But as business leaders, it's our responsibility to offer opportunities to our employees for ways to get involved. We all live, work, and play here, and it's up to us to be a part of making sure our community will thrive for many, many tomorrows. And this goes beyond just the dollars. You can get involved in the affinity groups, such as the Emerging Leaders Group or the Women's United Group. These provide great networking, development, and volunteer opportunities for everyone, from young professionals and everyone in between. I myself was actually in a part of the Emerging Leaders recently and was able to participate in a lot of the volunteer programs that they have. One of these programs provided Christmas toys and presents for local kids in our community who were otherwise not going to be having a Christmas of their own. And it was an amazing experience to be able to go and I think Annette Wallace was with me. She's sitting at the table back here. We were able to go and purchase presents for these kids and wrap them and take them and deliver them to the homes of these children and put them under their tree and see and make sure that they had a Christmas of their own, which otherwise wouldn't have been possible without the help of the United Way. Volunteering is also a great team building opportunity for coworkers, but it's also great for family and friends. My family, I know, has gotten together during Thanksgivings in past years and spent time helping families through wheelchair ramp builds or packing meals. My wife has also been a member and volunteered with the Read to Succeed program, helping kids in our local community learn to read and gain confidence in their literacy. There's so many great ways to get involved, and you can reach out to Pam and the rest of the team at the United Way if you need some suggestions or ideas. I'm sure they will not be short on those. Another way to get involved is you can have a blast at a special event. In fact, 75 days from today is the United Way Holiday Ball, which I know is a popular event. I think most of you hopefully have been there in the past or are hoping to come this year. It's also the diamond celebration of the United Way Holiday Ball, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that event over at the Hyatt in Cambridge. And I know there's also a bit of a post-ball pajama pizza party that happens some years. I may or may not have had a hand in helping that tradition start, so if you want more information about that part, you can reach out to me and I'll let you know about that. But all sorts of great ways to get connected. And one of the best ways, too, in addition to reaching out to Pam, is you can go on their website, and United Way has their Get Connected Volunteer Center where opportunities are constantly being updated. It's a great resource to go to if you're looking for something to get involved with or need ideas. And finally, while we're not knocking on doors anymore to raise awareness, we can all still spread the word. So this is where we get our phones out and we start to tweet and post on Facebook. But starting today, we have a fun social media campaign that we're starting called 75 Days of Live United. So help spread the word on Facebook and Instagram. There'll be fun tidbits past and present to share, hashtags and all sorts of great stuff. And also, last but not least, don't forget that even though we're focusing right now on the big 75, it's important to be engaged all year long, because together we can live united for generations to come. So on behalf of the Purdue family and Purdue Farms, thank you, United Way, for everything you do in our community, and looking forward to a wonderful anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Marty. How fortunate are we to have these guys as our co-chairs of this campaign. Another round of applause for Marty and for Chris. All that they're going to do for us as well. Big thank you to Salisbury University, our sponsors, our guests, all of you, everyone who shared their stories today as part of this campaign kickoff. One more round of applause for them, please. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't have one more call to action for you all before you get out of here today. But the good news is you don't have to pick up any campaign materials this year. The United Way is going to deliver those to you. So thanks again for joining us today and for throughout the year living united and doing what you can in support of your local United Way. To Pam and her team, I love you guys, and you know that. I am so honored to be up here. Thank you very much for this opportunity to do this again. And to all of you in the room, live united, have a great Monday, and a great rest of your week ahead. Let's go get a picture.